Good evening and welcome to Newswatch at 6. I'm Rebecca Fernandez. The latest news tonight is from Governor Jim Justice, who says he will veto legislation that would eliminate greyhound racing in West Virginia. In a news release sent out this morning, Justice said he supports keeping greyhound racing and the 1,700 jobs the industry provides. He said getting rid of greyhound racing would mean job losses and fewer people coming to West Virginia. The State House and Senate have voted to end $14 million in annual support for the greyhound racing at the state's 2 tracks located in Wheeling and Cross Lanes. The release also said Justice questioned the legality of the legislator unilaterally decoupling West Virginia casinos and racetracks, since counties authorize gambling and racing as a package deal. And in Monroe County, street and road name signs are vanishing. During the past 6 or 7 years, more than 20 signs have disappeared from the rural county roads, creating a situation that can compromise the ability of ambulances or other emergency vehicles to find remote households. The 911 center says they do not believe a single individual or group of individuals acting in together are responsible for the acts of vandalism, because the details of the thefts vary. Anyone with information about the missing signs can contact Tom Wilson by calling the non-emergency number at the 911 center, which is 304-772-3915. The 97th Annual County Chamber of Commerce Dinner was held last night at the Beckley-Raleigh Convention Center. The room was filled up with 49 different companies in West Virginia who were represented and had the opportunity to mingle with each other. One very well-respected guest, Paul Hutchinson, received the Community Award. And the featured speaker, who is well known by the residents of West Virginia, captivated the attendees with some very important words to live by.
The goal that I want everybody to take away is that I want people to continue to work hard, to be kind, and to take pride in everything that they do. It doesn't matter if you're being a dad or a brother or a wife or grandma. It doesn't matter. Just work hard at it, be a kind human being, and be prideful.
The dinner brings together community members for a night of food and friends, and this year it was sponsored by Beckley Appalachian Regional Healthcare. Fayette County Chief Deputy Ron Perdue petitioned the County Commission on Friday for funding 4 new police vehicles. The Commission has already approved its 2018 budget, earmarking funds for 2 new vehicles. The Commissioner also created a reserve that could fund another 2 vehicles should a closer look at the fleet show the necessity. Perdue said the Fayette County Sheriff's Department has 36 vehicles, half of which have more than 100,000 miles and some as much as 190,000 miles. He recommends cruisers have 100,000 miles or less for safety. New vehicles are needed to keep officers safe, keep them on the road, and keep our community safe, he said. Today was the 11th Annual Lewisburg Chocolate Festival. Newswatch's Ashley Cafaro was there and has all the delicious details.
This is the 11th Annual Chocolate Festival here in Lewisburg. They have already sold out 38,000 tickets, and even Mr. Cone Man is here from Cakes and Cones. The streets of Lewisburg were filled Saturday afternoon with not only people, but all kinds of chocolate, as the city celebrated their annual chocolate festival.
We expect between 5,000 and 7,000 attendees. We have 35,000 tastings and more than 35 vendors selling those tastings.
The different tastings included chocolate-covered strawberries, chocolate-covered apples, chocolate mousse, and much more. And with such a big attendance this year, many of the vendors were sold out.
I think this is our 5th year, and it's amazing. It's always busy. This line has not stopped. We started at 15 minutes to 11 today. The line has not stopped.
And that is right. The line stayed packed as the people enjoyed not only the sun, but most importantly, the delicious chocolate.
It's really good. A lot of chocolate. Had a bunch of different things. Had like half a dozen different things. Chocolate, strawberry right now. So
it's been a really fun day. This is my first time. I've wanted to go for a few years, and it's a really cute town. I've never been before, and it's been a lot of fun to see the different shops too.
And it is all for a great cause.
The festival this year benefits the United Way of Greenbrier Valley so that we can provide programs and services to Monroe, Pocahontas, and Greenbrier counties.
In Lewisburg, I'm Ashley Cafaro reporting for Newswatch.
And some more sweet deals if flying to a beach getaway with fares starting out at $40, including all taxes and fees, sparks your interest, then air service returning soon at Yeager Airport just might be your ticket. Spirit Airlines will resume its seasonal air service to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina and Fort Lauderdale, Florida starting April 29th and continuing through September 6th. Tickets go on sale at the Spirit counter at Yeager Airport from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Monday, April 10th. Passengers can call the ticket counter at 304-341-0400 to check fares. So to come on Newswatch, a broadband bill that aims to improve access through the state overwhelmingly passed through the West Virginia Senate on Friday. Plus, the United States is vowing to keep up the pressure on Syria after the intense nighttime wave of missile strikes from U.S. ships. Those stories and more when Newswatch returns. And now on to statewide and national news. A broadband bill that aims to improve access to the state overwhelmingly passed through the West Virginia Senate on Friday. House Bill 3093 establishes broadband enhancement and expansion policies, establishing the Broadband Enhancement Council and revises its powers and duties. The council would publish an annual assessment and map of broadband in the state and create an interactive map of broadband service. It also calls for counties to form nonprofit cooperative associations for internet services. The bill's goal is by 2020 to make every community and rural area in the state accessible to internet services. Senators adopted an amendment Friday that would eliminate within the code that it is unlawful for internet services to advertise data solely in terms of maximum data rates or an up to speed. That provision was removed to require providers to only advertise the minimum data rate to be provided as part of any service. And there could soon be more help available to addicts in the state. West Virginia lawmakers have voted to increase beds available at state-supported drug treatment facilities in response to the state's opioid addiction epidemic. The Senate's unanimous vote Friday follows an earlier House vote to add beds and establish an addiction prevention and recovery fund. It comes as lawmakers and Governor Jim Justice remain divided over budget and tax plans with the legislative session scheduled to end on Sunday. West Virginia currently has more than 1,100 treatment beds, but struggles to meet demand. Unlike an earlier version, the latest bill doesn't specify establishing 600 more treatment beds. Funding would include settlements of lawsuits that accuse wholesale drug distributors of flooding the state with prescription pain pills. The state attorney general's office has settled with 11 distributors for $47 million. And tonight, Governor Jim Justice will hold a press conference to discuss the end of the legislative session. We'll have more on that on Newswatch at 11. That swift and decisive action from President Trump ordering an airstrike inside Syria, targeting the Syrian airbase 2 days after the world saw the images of that horrific attack on families, children, and babies. U.S. officials say they have proof the plane that dropped that toxic gas took off from here. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Redatz with the timeline of the decision and how it played out.
Under the cover of darkness, dozens of U.S. Tomahawk cruise missiles fired into Syria from 2 Navy warships in the Mediterranean, raining down on the Shayrat air base where the Syrian plane carrying those chemical weapons had taken off. The cruise missiles already launched as the president was wrapping up his first dinner with the Chinese president at Mar-a-Lago. Hours earlier, aboard Air Force One, President Trump had signaled to the world that military action against Syria was a strong possibility.
I think what happened in Syria is a disgrace to humanity. And he's there, and I guess he's running things, so something should happen.
Soon after landing in Florida, the president would give his commanders the green light. The Pentagon using military channels to let the Russians know this was not an attack on their troops and aircraft in Syria. But did the Russians then warn the Syrian forces, with witnesses claiming they quickly moved equipment and personnel ahead of the attack? Syrian television showing what it said was the U.S. assault in the distance, Syrian officials claiming at least 7 were killed. The Pentagon says it struck all 59 of its targets, destroying at least 20 Syrian aircraft, air defense systems, radar, and ammunition supply bunkers. Once those missiles fell, the president huddled with his national security team to assess the damage. The retaliation coming just 60 hours after the world saw the first horrific images of that chemical attack, images that pushed the president to act.
Tonight I ordered a targeted military strike on the airfield in Syria from where the chemical attack was launched.
The Pentagon providing evidence it says shows Assad was behind the war crime, the flight path data of the Syrian warplane. And tonight, the U.S. military looking into whether the Russians knew about that chemical attack or assisted in any way. Today at the United Nations, Ambassador Nikki Haley warned that the U.S. could strike again.
The United States took a very measured step last night. We are prepared to do more.
And the Senate used the nuclear option to confirm President Trump's nominee, Neil Gorsuch, on Friday. ABC's Gloria Riviera joins us with more on what turned out to be a bitter partisan battle.
The nomination of Neil M. Gorsuch of Colorado to be an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States is confirmed.
That gavel slam marks a huge political first, confirming a Supreme Court nominee with just a simple majority vote, 54 yeas to 45 nays.
Ms. Warren, no.
Judge Neil Gorsuch's confirmation, the first major win for the Trump administration with Congress. But the Democrats did not go down without a fight filibustering the nomination.
I cannot support this nomination,
prompting Republicans to invoke the nuclear option.
I believe it will make this body a more partisan place.
It didn't have to be this way, but today is a new day.
The new rule change now means all presidential nominees for executive branch positions and the federal courts now need only a simple majority vote. Judge Gorsuch now fills the conservative seat left vacant by the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, restoring the court's previous balance, 4 conservatives, 4 liberals, and Justice Anthony Kennedy as the swing vote.
And don't go anywhere. Frank will have a full look at your forecasts when we come back.